Welcome back to the Insurance Business Babes podcast. And this is Kathe Kline, and I am here today with Joanna Wyckoff and Scott Miller. And the reason why we brought Scott on, because really his son is probably more well known in the industry, Dalton Miller. Reason we brought him on is because I listened to him at a conference, an online conference, and he blew me away with the content. And so Scott, Joanna, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And if you're listening and it's afternoon, good afternoon to you as well.
Good
Um,
point. Good point.
exactly. But today, there is something that has been on my mind. I've been selling Medicare insurance as a standalone independent agent since 2014. This is the most confusing time I've ever had. And I actually thought that when a plan number changed, even if it was crosswalked, I thought that was considered a planned termination. And the other day, I had a carrier tell me, no, it is not. So if the plan number changes, your client is not eligible for guaranteed issue on a supplement plan. And
Mm.
this is, I am so confused. So I need your help, and I'm sure the listeners need your help too about this whole mapping issue. How do we keep track of all these name and number changes, and it's just driving me literally insane. So tell me what to do, Dalton.
Um, well, I share the same concerns. So it was called something pretty basic, and they changed it to another name, um, which it just complicates things and it puts us in a really bad position. So imagine a plan that everybody wants to join. Maybe I've written the husband on this plan. The wife's turning 65 or is on something else. She goes, "Hey, I want the same one that my husband has."
Mhm.
And what do I say? What do I say? I mean, I think
I wish we could say, I can help you with that plan. It'll be $500,
right,
okay,
right.
for my time. And why is it that we now have these non-commissionable plans, but yet we are not allowed to charge consulting fees? It should be one or the other. Either all the plans are commissionable or we should be allowed to, I'm a retired financial advisor. I'm used to charging fees. And this is not fair. I'm sorry. It is
Doesn't make
not
sense. Doesn't make
fair.
sense, right? I mean, if we're not getting paid on it, we're supposed to service it. We're supposed to represent these companies. It's just it puts us in a really bad position. And I think it all started, and I won't invoke their name, but
Mhm.
I had 4,700 policies with one PDP company,
Oh, we
and
all did.
yeah, and
4,700 is a lot.
4,700.
Times $43 a year renewal, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it
That
was back then.
$202,000 loss a
So
year.
so Joanna, we chalked it up as with all things considered about $250,000. And I look, if they would have come to us and said, and this is where it all started, if they would have come to us and said, listen, we're not going forward, we're not going to pay commission, I have a lot more respect for that decision
Yes.
making. But keep in mind that part of our business when we're shopping PDPs,
Hmm.
um, it's labor intensive.
Yes.
Very.
It's emotional from the customers because that's where they spend the most money sometimes,
Hmm.
and they lose their ID cards. We've serviced this business, and so that started this cascading, of
So
events.
I blame CMS for allowing a commission change after the plan was approved. That is not
Amen.
way
Amen.
that
I
that
agree with
is
that.
CMS should never have allowed that. And I can understand if they said, we're going to not pay commission going forward, but to go back on an existing contract, and I'm still mad at our industry. I'm not going to mention the names because Joanna is on the board of one of them, but our industry, what do you call them?
Not,
advocates
yeah.
lobbying.
That's right, our lobbying groups that allowed it too. That this is not fair to the agent, but we've already beat that dead horse. It, I don't know why CMS allowed it. They shouldn't have. So maybe that was the issue. And I'm not a big fan of any administration, so don't take my comment as which way I go because I can tell you you do not know for the listener. But I think that's probably why they allowed it back then. Not fair.
Well, I think part of the bid process, I can't for the life of me figure out how insurance companies who are very, very, very good at risk management, they probably know when I'm going to go to the doctor next. I mean, that's that kind of intelligence out there. And they bid in 2024, they bid out these plans full well knowing, what the consequences might be. And I'm with you, Kathe. I don't get how a bid can be submitted with our commission, albeit not a very big part of this, included in it, and then all of a sudden you take it out. I don't understand how that is even in the realm of a contract. And what do I say to my employees? I have 8 producers that work for me, and they're like, they want to make a living, and they want to predict, they want to go on a trip after the season, and they want to be able to save money for kids in college. We can't exist this way long term. We have to change that. It has to be the bid stands, you know.
Well, I'm not aware. Of course, I don't keep up on industry the way that you and Joanna probably do, but I'm not aware of any lawsuits that were filed. I think that our organization should have started filing lawsuits right away. The issue is that our organizations are also supported by the insurance companies, and so how is what does an independent agent do? I don't have unlimited resources. And so I'm not going to go up against an insurance company because I know where that's going to end. That's going to end me going bankrupt and the insurance company's still winning. But if our industry groups would have immediately filed lawsuits, I think that maybe all the other insurance companies wouldn't be following suit right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some lawsuits were
So
filed, but I
I'll give
haven't
you
heard
some
of any.
insight on that. Is as I sit on the executive board of two of the nonprofits, one of them, our legal funding has been depleted just by fighting one, fight with the, ACA terminations of agents and stuff. You know, like we had so many agents get wrongfully and terminated with no due process, and they thought it was suspicious, but they terminated them with no legal
Re-
course, and they lost their entire livelihoods in just there's no due process in our industry anymore. And here's the thing, we kind of talked about it before we started the show. Like, we have permission to sell these products, we don't have a right to sell the products, right? Like, we are at the mercy, Scott, of the carrier who allows us to sell a product, and some carriers don't allow us to sell a product. One carrier out near Kathy said that because I no longer live in Georgia, I don't have permission to sell their product because I'm not in a neighboring state anymore. Those mean people hurt my feelings.
I'll
you
sell it
know,
for you. Don't worry. Just
but
send them to
but
me.
but like, you're my downline. I should be able to get your contract and earn my $2 override, right, Scott?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
which,
Okay,
which,
so we
which
know it's not fair.
It's not
Okay.
fair, but the legal fight, nobody has the funds for the legal fight with each individual carrier, because we often don't even know until they pull the shenanigans. Like last year, and we
Yeah,
had already done the marketing. I know Scott has a big agency. We had already done the marketing. We already did all the pre-AP, seminars and stuff. How do you do that? But like, the thing
I
is,
don't know,
each
but none of us in this conversation are going to be able to solve that. So
no. We just have to suck it up, is what they know. We have to suck it up.
let's move on to something else that we can solve. And by the way, listener, you can help solve that product by cross-selling. sell your clients other services besides just the one main thing that you're doing. Okay, so I'm not insane. I was correct in that even if they crosswalk it to another plan, that in the past was always considered a termination, and maybe, just maybe, my carrier was wrong.
Possibly, possibly. Like that name change I mentioned earlier on the one company, they didn't change the plan number, so it stayed the same. But
That's
I
different.
would typically agree that if that plan number changed, but we've gotten from a couple FMOs, we've gotten a list of plan terminations and mapping, and it's very challenging because if you were at our flow day, the we kind of segment our retention strategy, and we attack different things. Like, we know one company has got a plan termination and it's going to affect 130 of our clients, so we have a separate little project to go after that, okay, and stay on that. Well, we've got about 13 different projects going right now,
I know.
and that doesn't mention the people that are just maybe one plan that we have in South Carolina. These are the projects. You have to have like 10 or more for us to put resources on it, but we're putting out fires everywhere.
Hmm.
It's crazy. And I'm in Joanna's downline now. I moved from a larger downline this year.
Congratulations.
And one thing I do like, I haven't seen it, thank you. One thing I do like, I haven't seen it yet because it's either not out yet or maybe it's being released today, is they do have not a project like you have, but there is a they have a way of tagging the people whose plans are terminating. And I'll find out if this plan number change is going to be listed as a plan termination. In my mind, if the number changes, it's a new plan. A crosswalk to a different number to me means guaranteed issue on a supplement plan if they want it. And that's how I'm going to treat it, regardless of what that carrier told me, because that's always been how it's been listed in the past. How can CMS allow number changes to be listed as the same plan? I don't get it.
Are
It's
guarantee issues in your market supplements paying full commission,
no,
or is it reduced?
they don't.
Kathy
You
just looks
know,
for work to do.
I just look for free work because then I'm stuck
I
stuck
should send
doing
some your
their
way then.
yeah. Now, I don't know. I don't- actually we are turning I do have a downline now. I've got one downline and I've been not giving her bad business, but I don't have room in my schedule. It's just me.
Hmm.
So I now have a downline and next year I'll have it my first she's getting contracted now. I'll have my first LOA next year. So
And
I'm being forced to
so
do this.
Connexure does have a newer enterprise called Active Analytics that is providing, I believe, the FMOs that subscribe to that service, that full listing, and it gets pretty granular. I mean, it's pretty intense, and some of the larger FMOs are enrolled in that and sharing that with their agents. So maybe that's what you were referring to. That maybe that
Well, I
So
no longer use Connecture. I have the agent paid version of Connecture, the one that integrates with Retire
retire
Flow. So for
right.
the listener who doesn't know what Retire Flow is, it's a survey that you can send out to your clients. And I've used Retire Flow. I love it, but now I use Spark's version of a similar program, and they're similar but different. And basically, Retire Flow, my former FMO, who I left because of all the issues I had uh, getting data last for the 2023, 2024, they weren't they weren't using it and they didn't tell me that Sunfire had their own version. And after I left them, I found out that Sunfire had a similar program that I could have been using. But anyway, so Retire Flow, you send out this survey, and now Sunfire has something similar. The survey will get your client to enter their own drug information, which significantly lowers your workload. But you still have workload. Okay, it doesn't make it disappear because if you give them, you can always give your clients the, what do you call, the link that you can send them and they can do their
A
own,
pearl, a
yeah,
pearl.
your Pearl,
Mm-hmm.
Purl. But the issue with the Pearl is usually that information, to my knowledge, the client isn't going to be able to easily do it the following year. I know they do a login, but it's just easier when they go through us. So that using some kind of way where you're not typing in data, or if you're like me, your team isn't typing in data, that really lowers your workload. And I'm glad that I have that. So she spent an hour yesterday doing that before she realized the data wasn't saving in Sunfire. And I don't know if that's an issue with the Spark platform. Maybe it needs to be saved in Spark. Maybe that it's not grabbing it in Sunfire. But if you're using Connecture, you already have the information because Connecture saves your data every year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on with the Spark Sunfire connection. But so if you're listening to this, listener, and you have Connecture, you're going to be able to see what the client currently has. And I believe you'll be able to see the new name if the name has changed.
You can see that in my system.
Okay, well, I'll go back and look, and maybe we can talk about it offline or maybe later. But so, what are the two of you doing about the mapping issue? Is there any solid advice that you can give to me and the listener about how to deal with this mapping, the name changes, and or name and number changes? My advice always in the past was look at the plan number, and that tells you all you need to know. But that's not true now,
I mean,
apparently.
I always, first thing I look for is it being crosswalked? Is it being
Mm-hmm.
crosswalked? And I thank the Lord when it's crosswalk, because
Mm-hmm.
when it gets to plan termination, that's a whole different thing, and then we become susceptible to losing that piece of business, right? Because they're getting notification, my plan is terminated, and then you have advertising, and so it becomes a retention issue, Kathe. And so what we do, we rely on our FMO, and our carrier partners to tell us, and we document it, we segment it, we we put personnel on it, and I'm sure it's a challenge if you're on your own. I'm sure this is a challenge. I mean, it's and that's why what you mentioned before, time is what you need. Time is what is so valuable at this point, and that's the reason my son Dalton started Retire Flow, is because he came into our agency, and we have 20,000 customers that all want a review, and it was virtually killing our office, right? The key element on it is it just saves a bunch of time. And there's a
Oh my
lot of tools
gosh.
out there. Uh,
It saves so much time. I'm so glad that I have a survey this year, and I'm sure you are too. Can you imagine trying to do this at the same time that you're trying to deal with the all the crosswalks, all the terminations, and all of the non-commissionable plans?
oh,
I,
it'd be
I don't know how an agent
insane.
would do it if they're not using a tool like this.
So
It's
I think this is the only tool in the market for ACA. I'm on their website right now, about to click it for. I have agents with 2,000 ACA clients that they have to individually touch this year.
oh,
You
you're
know, because
talking about the Retire Flow ACA survey?
yes,
Yeah, I know it's great.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that doesn't exist anywhere else that I know of.
It's a really good organizer for ACA, and um, yeah, we've seen a heavy pickup in people signing up for it. A lot of people didn't know it was out there, like
Hmm.
Joanna, like you just mentioned. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, we're just we're 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 calling, we're sending the forms, we're doing projects, and I track it, Kathe. So like we have a big board, and because I come from the group business where I had a bunch of groups, and I was concerned about is new sales and retention, and so we track these interruptions or disruptions very closely because we really make money on retaining our business. Now, of course, you've got to be able to walk and chew gum and sell while you retain, but we really, really make money on retaining our business. So we can't be cavalier and think that these people won't drift away if we don't reach out to them. And it gets very challenging when you're in several different markets. We have people that move to Florida that have a MAPD down there, and you're not as familiar as you are in your home turf. So it's something that you just really have to put a lot of time and effort in. And this year is worse than most. This year
It
and last
really
year were
is.
worse than most.
Yeah, this has been the two most challenging years since I started. And I've only been in the business since 2014, but it's still, I mean, there's been some disruptions. This is just crazy. So basically, if you're a independent agent, first look to your upline to see if they have the documentation that you need. I know that Spark is in the process of putting together what they call cheat sheets, but every year I've always created spreadsheets with all of the plans so that I can line them up and look at information that is not given to you by Sunfire Fire or Connecture, just so that I can see what are the benefits that I need, what's everything that I need at a glance. Now that I'm basically in I've got two major states that I'm in. I'm in the state that I live in now, South Carolina, and I still have a pretty good sized book back in San Diego.
South Carolina
So,
is really blown up, isn't it? Haven't they had a lot of planned terminations?
oh, yes, we have. And so when I look at what's available, oh my gosh, it's so limited compared to what it was in the past. And I do have clients saying, what do I do?
Now,
And
don't forget on the planned terminations, you have 60 days after
yeah,
the
but what's a plan termination?
well, yeah, right, right.
What's a plan termination? So, and the largest plan, the plan that I sold the most of last year is on that non-commissionable list. And so, what do I do? Because, like you said, people have spouses, and spouses are aging in. And for me, I have about 700 clients. Only about 100 of them are Medicare Advantage. And my mind, I, I'm going insane. I only have 100 and something Medicare Advantage clients. I don't have a ton, but it's still right now, it is causing me so much stress. And so I'm meeting with clients beforehand. So this week, I maybe had 20 appointments. And couple of them I had to say, let's reschedule because I'm not seeing this on my platform and I don't want to give you bad information. Of course, every year, the first week is the worst when there's no information on any of the platforms. Next year, I'm not going to do client meetings in the first 2 weeks in the pre-AEP. I'm only going to meet with prospects because you can't sign them up anyway. You just talk to them. So and they're less forgiving than your clients. Your client, especially my clients, they know me. They know who I am. When I call, they don't say, "Who is this?" I don't know who you are. Um, they're a lot more forgiving because I only take on nice people for clients.
And Kathy, I think you said it, or Joanna, you said it. I think the first line of defense is your upline or your FMO, and
Mhm.
as Joanna, and we all know, all FMOs are not created equally, right?
They're
And
not.
and if you rely on your FMO to give you some of those data points, I mean, we do that. We rely on them and to give us some of that information. We seek it out, but I say I try to use the word partner when I talk about our FMOs because I really feel like they're our partner in this endeavor, and and so we 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 reach out to them, we talk to them, and they provided us with lists, but it's messy. It's just messy, and it's our business is not clean and neat and doesn't fit into these little boxes. So we got to rely on our partners.
Well, I wish there was an easier way. I wish I could type in the name or the plan number and have the new name, the new plan number, or even the crosswalked plan number.
I'm reaching out to my friend Evan McGuffey. Shout out to him last year, and it's still on his website. Because that's what saved a lot of agents' butts when they, aren't affiliated with me. Like, we're gonna have the crosswalks. Um, we had them last year and everything, but agents who are not, affiliated with a tech savvy FMO, a lot of them are, struggling. But Kathy, this is why I tell people, especially agents who are local agents. This is why the importance of a first look. Now, unfortunately, some carriers made us wait until September 25th for a first
But but I
look.
went to First Looks, and how do you keep all that information in your head? Just because you go to a first look doesn't mean it's going to be easy for you when you're sitting down in front of a client to remember all this stuff because there's so many of them. If I only had three to remember,
Hmm.
I could remember three,
Oh, you're
maybe.
preaching to the choir. I have 15 local carriers here in Houston, and I have to go look at my Georgia book of business where most people are.
I want to
I'm,
type it in and have it pop up.
mhm.
I want to type in the name or the plan number, have it pop up.
I,
That's what I want. I don't want
I
to have to
think
remember.
this would have been easier, and I think Scott probably remembers the old days where we would have had all the first looks done the beginning week of August, right?
Yep.
Like we used to do all this stuff in August. By the end of
Yes.
August, my cheat sheets were like pretty much built out. I just had to put specific numbers in there.
I
And now,
have clients that still don't have their annual notice of changes.
because the carriers, I don't know, I don't work on the carrier side, never have, but they have been coming with information later and later each year, and it's made it hard for agents to plan ahead. Even like the carriers are asking me, so what sales meetings are you doing this year? It's like, I don't know what sales meetings I'm doing for you this year because I haven't seen your plans. I don't know if it's marketable.
Right.
Like, I'm an independent agent. I don't work for just one carrier. So I have to go chase in the sunshine. So, what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna market heavy a plan that I think is really robust, that's sellable, right?
Joanna, tell me a
Well,
little bit about what you said about my friend Evan. What did he provide you with?
Yeah, on his website called Comtract.io, he has a, let me bring it up. Because I was just over there. At the very bottom, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, this is nothing to really do with his software, really. He just does it for the industry. He has 2025 crosswalks and 2025 non-commissionable plans. So if you click on the crosswalk plans, it brings up a table, and it also, I think, links the SOBs.
Is he going to do it again for next year?
I just texted him. Fingers crossed. Evan
there's
is a.
probably there's probably so many he doesn't have the manpower to do it all.
I
I mean it's
know.
but I thought Spark was doing it.
Yeah, yeah, but like I was even asking them yesterday where my cheat sheet was because they told me they were doing my cheat sheet for me this year. I can't wait for anybody else to cook my dinner, right? So
Exactly.
I went and started cooking my own dinner yesterday. So I have a bunch of
What,
VAs,
uh,
and I have them doing that today.
do me a favor. Tell Evan I said hello.
I
Um,
will.
we've seen him out and about. Yeah.
Well,
I'm.
I hope he does. I hope there's a place. Now my assistant, my VA in the Philippines is almost done. She only has a couple more of my San Diego and the
Hmm.
two counties. So I live in a Sun City, Scott. And so Sun City spans between two counties. And it's funny because last year, and forever, Blue Cross Blue Shield only was in Beaufort County, was not in Jasper County. And when I first moved here, I had them come and do a meeting in my community where I invited people to come. But it was funny because the meeting room that they got, because it was actually not them directly, it's whoever their preferred FMO is that only sells Blue Cross Blue Shield. I forget the name of it. I'm not with them anymore, but um, I said, here's the information because they wanted to control everything. I said, okay, here's the information where you can call and get the room. The room they scheduled was in the county that they don't sell in, and or they didn't. So so this year, they're new. They're now selling. They're now in both counties. Yay. Okay, because they have a really cool thing with their Medigap. Uh, they I'm not going to say it because I don't want everybody to know. So I'll tell you afterwards.
Devoted
Um,
just became 5 stars in my county here in Texas, so they're my
I,
new best friends.
well, their give back almost completely covers the Part B premium
That's
Wow.
good.
Wow.
in Jasper. So
But
I mean,
Kathe, it's like with all of this, it's like um, the 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 line, the beatings will stop once morale improves. It's like uh, we're going through it right now. One of the companies that went non-commissionable last year in the middle of the year, in the middle of the season, in the middle of the night, um,
yeah,
I'm looking at their plan this year, and I'm like, did they really learn anything? Because they still have like one of the most attractive plans now. They put it out at half commission, and that's the other thing is that we're in this reverse auction moment, like we're you know you know some of
race to the
the
bottom.
yeah, it's a race to the bottom. That's exactly right. Now, here's the reason I'm a little bit hopeful is if you all remember, and it took a lot to get licensed and certified and all this rigmarole, and the website didn't work. So a lot of people were like, I'm out. I'm out of the ACA. But that's slowly come back. So my hope is we're going through a moment, and that as we look forward, if we stay the course, we're going to be in a good position. That's my hope, because
So
remember the days before this crisis. I mean, insurance companies were flush with cash. They were giving co-op out. They were marketing dollars were flying everywhere. Benefits were going up and up and up and up and up. Well, I I I think with this correction, I think they're going to be maybe a year and a half or 2 years from now. I think we're going to see those trends happening again. I hope they don't focus on all the extra benefits and continue to focus on the core benefits of healthcare. And that's what we're telling our
hallelujah.
customer.
Hallelujah. That's what we need. We need the insurance companies to focus on what the most important thing is, not on what the over the counter benefit is.
This company got rid of it, right? They got rid of it. And here's what I said. I said, look, I get it. I would go to my father-in-law's house every quarter, and we'd sit down and we'd pull out the catalog and we'd buy Robitussin and NyQuil and Band-Aids, and everybody loved it. And I loved it too. It was fun to do. And I said, but folks, we're here to protect our health care. And again, I'd love to have free pizzas on Friday, but I probably shouldn't do it. My doctor would tell me I shouldn't do it. And what goes up sometimes has to go down. So we're in
That's
a
right.
moment. And I tried to explain that to people, but
Well, what a great way to end the show. Listener, here's the moral of of the story. Keep going. This is going to flush out some agents that maybe shouldn't be in the business. Keep going. You will persevere, and most of all, you've got to cross sell because
Mhm.
if you have, especially Scott has got a business of 20,000 people, you have a business, a good sized book of business, and you cross sell, you will survive this
Mhm.
this trend that's happening right now. And I have seen trends reverse. So has Scott. Joanna has too. I have seen trends in other industries. So just keep going, survive. And thanks so much for listening to the Insurance Business Babes podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
see you later.